This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle, the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach. Beach Talk Radio. Here are your hosts, Kim and Ed Ryan.
Yeah, baby. Thank you all for coming. Wow, we got a big crowd here for you, Dan, today. You better be on your A game. This is one of the biggest crowds we've had in a long time here at Wahoo Willie's. And we're going to interview the mayor in just a little bit because we've got so many things to talk about. So before we introduce the mayor to you, I want to make a big, gigantic, grand introduction for the Hotkas are here too. You guys are late. We start at 10 o'clock. It is now 10:01 and you've lost your table. Ladies and gentlemen, the star of the show, freshly back from Tanzania, Kim Ryan. Yes. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome to the show.
You're such a ding dong.
And what did you do? You just took a drink of your Bloody Mary and spilled it all over yourself. Yes. Your hair looks fabulous. You smell like monkey, but everything else
That's
is
not true.
is
Believe
just
me,
good.
I smell
When you got off that when you got off that plane last night, I thought, woo, did she bring the donkey home with her?
It was not that bad.
Oh, maybe that was Janelle and not you.
Hey, at least they gave us a toothbrush and toothpaste so we could do that before we got off the plane.
Well, you have so many stories to tell, and I'm sure you want to enlighten us because for the last 2 weeks, it's been so quiet for me. Nothing has happened. I didn't get myself in any trouble at all. Right. Everything was calm, cool, and collected for the last 2 weeks.
No, I stayed off Facebook, but Janelle was like filling me in on everything. So then I had to go and see how you were acting bad in my. You always do that whenever I go away.
Yeah,
you just can't. You get bored and then you create drama.
I don't know if I create it, but maybe I do.
And maybe. You really need to shave. You look like a mountain man.
I know. Thank you very much for pointing that out.
You look like you have been away for 2.5 weeks.
The dogs are so happy that you're home, and
I know.
I get so tired of people saying to me, "When is Kim coming home? When is Kim coming home?" I'm like, what about me? How about me?
Well, you're already
once?
home. Maybe you should go away, and we'll see if anyone misses you.
Why does this show always have to be about you?
That's not true. That is so not true.
We're having a pool party today at Margaritaville. If anybody wants to come over to the pool, hopefully you got your free pass for the pool today.
What time is it? I don't even.
Right after this show. If you're over there, you could be over there now if you want to.
It was like, I think from the time that we started till the time that we landed, it was 32 hours. Yeah. Not of flying, but because they're 8 hours behind us.
Yeah.
We had to add 8 hours to our 24 hours of flight.
Yeah.
They're ahead of us.
So while you were gone, we had a hurricane. A little hurricane.
Well, I wasn't gone for the hurricane. I was up in Minnesota riding out.
When Andy Hyatt says to the for the folks on Fort Myers Beach to evacuate, my wife and Janelle go to Africa. They don't go in line, in town 5 miles. They fly to Africa. So what was Amsterdam like? Did you smoke a doobie in Amsterdam?
No, we were just going through the airport.
Do they smoke pot in the Amsterdam airport? Just walking around smoking pot?
No.
How are you going to vote on the pot amendment?
I will tell you that what it was difficult for me was the bathrooms.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out how to flush the bathrooms. I had to walk out and ask the attendant. You think it's a waving thing like we have here where it automatically goes, but it didn't go yet. Actually have to press it. But
did your bottom
everything is very sleek. It's what you would think. It's very.
Did your bottom actually touch the bucket or?
I didn't.
You worked your leg a lot.
Surfaces. Yes, my quads are intact.
Yeah. So
because the first time I saw the squat toilet, I was like, where's the rest of it?
Were there walls to hold on while you were squatting?
No. When I talk about that, people are eating.
Yeah. But. So what is one story you want to share with everyone before we berate the mayor? Anything?
I mean, there was so many stories, so many good things. I mean, you know, the highlight was working with the kids. They were just, I mean, they mobbed you when you got there. They're just loving on you and hugging on you and looking at your skin, because a lot of them haven't seen anyone white. So they're just total. And of course, they're pointing
especially
to the spots,
as white as you.
your age spots. They're like, who's that? And the thing is that their English is is primary over there. Well, that and Swahili, but so they, you know, they're learning both, but it was easy to communicate, and that was helpful. But I did up my vocabulary. So
say a little Swahili to us.
So when you're hiking, you say poli poli, because that means slow, slow. They have African time over there. It's much like your sister's time. If they say 9 o'clock, it's 9:30.
My sister's more like 10:30 if you say 9 o'clock.
They're very laid back. And you know what? There's no road rage there, and there should be, because there's no roads. The roads were, I can't even tell you, rough, but the where they fit these vehicles so close. I mean, a hair away from the vehicle next to you. So,
and can we tell?
But we had great drivers.
Can we tell Janelle, who is the organizer of the Africa trips, who's sitting right here, that you're never going back again? That you're once in a lifetime thing.
No, I'll go back again, because now I got to go back and see the kids.
Yeah, and there's the kids that are just happy to have shoes. They're just happy to be alive. They're just happy to see people help them. I mean, it's crazy the difference.
You know, Mike Washburn went, a friend of mine, and he's a physical therapist, and I went, and we had one idea going in, and when we got there, we were surprised. Like, they're using these ancient metal walkers. They're not like walkers like it's just pieces of metal made into the shape of a walker or a cane. They're really, really old on these old wheels, and they don't push well. None of those kids all walk. It doesn't matter how long it takes them. They just keep going. They either push their wheelchairs, and those were rough too, but you know, they just, and every time somebody fell, we would run over, and the kids just push themselves back, or the other kids would help take them out of the wheelchairs and put them there for lunch. And we were shocked at how well they do with so little. And I never saw a kid complain, cry, fight with another kid. You know, it was. So
when I'm elected president, I think that the first thing that we should do is every kid that graduates from high school in the United States of America should either have to go into the military for 1 year, like I think they do that in Israel. Like, you have to go into the IDF for some amount of time, or they should go to Africa for 1 day. Well, they'll never protest on a college campus with a mask on again.
I don't know if you can get it in 1 day, but there were 2 young people on our trip. One was 19 and one was 14.
Yeah.
And they asked, you know, about your highs and lows. And of course, out of the mouth of Babes, because she just was like, I am so grateful for every little thing that I have back home after seeing, you know, what they don't have there. And so, you know, it was, she was the light of the whole thing. She just was so happy all the time too. I mean, you know, but
you getting teary-eyed like Patrick Ronco?
I probably will. I mean, there was a couple of bumps along the way too, but some we talked about, some we didn't talk about. So I'll reveal those later.
All right. We have plenty of time to do that. But right now, the reason everybody is here is not us. The reason everybody is here is for the food. And for our next guest, which is the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, Dan Allers. Come on down, Dan. Who will be elected again in how many days? It's a week from Tuesday is election day. So that's like.
Thank you. And I just have to say,
9 days.
You made that post. The day that I did the swing that I had your shirt on, I was telling these guys, thank you for giving that to me, because it was the last clean shirt I had on the trip. So
I saw there was another picture that you was it the
nuns.
The nuns
had them. Yeah. So
this is in Africa. You don't have like a protection that are goons or mafia guys. The nuns are protection. Anytime the nuns walk around with people, everybody scatters. Like I don't know how that is.
They don't scatter, but there is. I had my phone
People
out.
Take note.
Yeah, I had my phone out, and one of the I think it was Sister Nancy. She just grabbed my phone, put it in her pocketbook, and she goes, "No, you will get it after we're done in town because your phones will get taken." So yeah, they're very good.
All right, Dan, a lot of stuff to talk about, and the first thing I wanted to ask you about was the town has hired Dr. Tracy Kohler from the school, the principal of the beach school. I think she starts on November 12th or around there, and she's retiring from the school district. And she's a wonderful person. She's a nice person. She's always been great to us. And the question that people seem to be asking for some reason is, does the town manager need an executive assistant? Is this a new position? And I know you want to make that crystal clear what's going on.
You know, when the news came out, there was obviously, the bad part of social media is people have the platform then to say whatever they want to say. And when they say things, then people think it's gospel because someone said it. What people need to know is that position was in place before Andy was ever hired. And it's important for people to know that the charter, Andy is in control of the hiring and the firing. The town council is not.
Mm-hmm.
We make policy decisions. He makes day-to-day and staff decisions. That position was put in place after Chris came on board, because Chris is not, he'll be the first to tell you, he's not the most technically savvy person. So when he has to do Zooms or he has to do all that kind of stuff, he's old school. He writes it, So that position was created. Chris created that position when he came in right after Hurricane Ian.
Chris Holly,
Chris Holly, yeah,
temporary town manager.
Yeah, he was our interim town manager directly after the storm. So he created that position. One of our current staffers moved over into that position from Parks and Rec, Danielle, and was in that position. She went back to Parks and Rec, so that position just sat vacant. So it was always there. So Andy just filled a position that was already existing. He didn't go out and create a position. He didn't. It was nothing other than filling a position. And a position I think is warranted simply because we have a lot of things going on. I mean, 5 hurricanes in 25 months is a lot of things going on. And it's nice to have people that you can rely on that can handle. I mean, you think about strategic planning, you think about, CDBGR, you think of all the things, all the rebuilding that we're doing. It's nice to have, Andy's the ultimate decision maker, but it's nice to have people in place that can do a lot of the legwork, bring the stuff to him. Andy can make a decision and move on.
Yeah. And when you say social media, there was nothing on our page negative about Dr. Tracy Kohler.
No,
we love her, but there are
but
different pages. I just want to make that clear. When I found out and I sent her a note and she said, that she was retiring, and I didn't think anything of it. And it's just unfortunate that sometimes people put that stuff out there without knowing the real facts of anything. They're just assuming things or starting things. Well, it's not right.
A lot of people like to put things out just to generate a response, and it's unfortunate that people do stupid things and don't think that, people's lives are involved in this. People don't make decisions in a vacuum. They make decisions when you get to that level, thought through, and what's in the best interest. And, Andy made a decision. I stand behind his decision. He knows what he's doing. Obviously, everybody thinks he knows what he's doing. He's doing a great job. So let him do what he's doing. Let him work his magic, and we'll see where it goes.
All right. The next question is, can you give the residents an update on the garbage pickup? There seems to be some questions about.
There's a lot.
A garbage pickup. I got an interesting email from somebody who first he or she, I don't want to say who it is, was not happy that the garbage wasn't being picked up on the side street. And then what happened was the garbage was being picked up, but the truck was so big that he couldn't get by. So they were complaining that they couldn't get by the truck because the truck was on their street. You just can't please.
I shared that story with you last week. I got an email from a lady saying, you didn't pick up our garbage after Helene, and then Milton came, and how come my garbage didn't get cleaned up? Well, my street didn't get it picked up either. It was just where you are in the queue, and time ran out. And then the very next day, the big debris truck was on the street. She sent me an email with a picture saying, I can't get out. I can't get off around this truck. It's blocking. I've been waiting 20 minutes. Okay.
I mean, come on.
Should have left 20 minutes earlier. I don't know what to tell you at that point.
So where are we at?
And then if you send a smaller truck, then you can't get the stuff.
Well, the issue, so with the debris, it's not that they're not out there cleaning up. Right after Milton, we only had one truck. How the contracts work, obviously FEMA pays for it, reimburses us, but they only reimburse on specific things, right? And they only reimburse on residential, not necessarily commercial, and I'm sure we'll talk all about that as well. But So FEMA has to, if we all remember, I mean, we have good memories, but sometimes they're short. After Ian,
Right.
all the people that were standing on the street watching every single scoop that goes in.
Yep.
And then when it goes to the place where they dump it, there's someone standing there watching everything that comes back out, because they're calculating exactly what it is. You're only allowed to pick up so much stuff. Well, because the devastation from Helene that went all the way up into the Carolinas, you have a predetermined contract with your debris cleanup people. The contract up there is obviously much more lucrative than it is down here. So like any business, you're going to go where the money is, or you're going to do what brings in the most money. So a lot of the debris haulers have gone that way. Andy and staff have been working very hard to get more down here, looking at other ways. How can we get this brought in? At the end of the day with FEMA, you have to, as we all know, you have to go through a certain process in order to get reimbursed from them when it comes to debris cleanup and many, many other things. Could the town go out and try to find contractors and bring them in at the town's expense? Sure, but it's very, very costly. And I don't think anybody sitting out here or anybody listening is going to want us to come and say, hey, we have to raise your millage rate because we have to pay for the debris that we had to pick up. Where if you wait 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks or whatever, we'll have it cleaned up. It'll get out of here, but we have to go through that process. So that's what we're in now. Andy's still working with Waste Management and other companies to, I don't know if you guys remember John Ward. He's now in the waste management business. He was down here. He was going to be, had Roger not been relieved of his duties, he was actually going to fill in as the interim town manager. He was he was at Clay County. He was the head of, he was like Kevin Guthrie of Clay County. He was so he was down here. He was the one helping us go through finding Tidal Basin, our disaster relief company. So he's now in that business. So he's a wealth of knowledge when it comes to FEMA, what they'll pay and won't pay. So we're working with him to see if we could find a way to get more people down here to help pick stuff up.
All right. Did you want to, I mean, you haven't even.
So commercial, I had a question about commercial that I responded to this morning. FEMA doesn't cover commercial cleanup. That's condos. That's Walmarts. That's
condos.
Condos are considered commercial. Yes.
So they got to go
RV parks, trailer parks.
They got to go out on their own. The condos.
So yeah, we
just put it on the sidewalk, Dave.
So, but we're waiting to get quotes back from Waste Management and another company to give us a price on what it would cost to pick up. If it's a reasonable amount, then we can look at it. Does it make sense for the town to pick up the tab to get this picked up, or is it going to be on the commercial properties to handle it on their own? So,
all right. So
the only thing I haven't seen a lot of stuff, and this is somewhat negative, so I hate to bring it down, but I see
not you.
I know I see posts on various issues frequently. There's this, it's different people, different times, but somebody's lying in their pockets. No, but I don't get how that is.
Dear, I can't believe you're uncovering that now. I thought we were going to keep that a secret, that they're all getting rich somehow.
Yeah,
that they're getting rich, or you're getting rich, or it's.
Well, they do say after storms like Ian and all the other storms that we've gone through, more people go to prison over debris arguments or payments of debris, or just over debris. Yeah, it's the most congested thing. That, I mean, you look at it even after Katrina.
Right.
Yeah.
How many people got in trouble after that? Because it's such a lucrative business.
But it's not even that. It's just if something gets approved, somebody's lying.
Oh yeah, there's a group of people out there that just.
You're always going to have people that say that. Yeah.
If you guys are actually lining your pockets as much as people say, I'm surprised you're not the hell out of here living someplace else, because you'd be a rich man.
So the next,
as I've said 1,000 times, anyone that wants to look at my bank account is more than welcome to look at my bank. Yeah. It's not going up. I'll promise you that.
We were just talking about that before the show. What is going to happen to the sand at Town Hall? I mean, we were at the fire department groundbreaking, which is so nice to see groundbreakings and ribbon cuttings. We were in the Tops supermarket lot, and the sand just kept coming and coming. I don't even know where it's coming from now, but they keep bringing dump trucks filled with sand to drop it off there. So is that all going to be sifted and then kind of distributed?
Back on the beach. Yep.
Okay. So,
I mean, so that sand will, as you see behind Town Hall right now, it's being sifted into piles. And this weekend they've been scooping it up and taking it down and putting it by Newton Park. So it's going right back onto the beach, but it's got to go through the sifting process. So all that sand eventually will get sifted and put back onto the beach where it belongs. Same with down at Lovers Key. All the places you see sand staged, it's going to get sifted.
Whose sand is at Lovers Key? Yours?
I think
or
that's
Benita's?
the counties.
Lee County. Gotcha.
The counties or Benita's, one or the other. I'm not sure exactly.
Where's the beach renourishment? Like, catch me up to speed.
It's about at Lynn Hall Park.
Wow. Okay.
You can start to see they're pumping sand up just in front of Lynn Hall Park, and they're doing all this, the grading and that by Best Western, between Best Western and Linhall Park.
Yeah, I can't wait until not only Margaritaville gets their sand, because that I think
you
Tom,
see how it works.
Arms.
Well, yeah, but
you see how well it works.
It was great. A pink shell. They
Yeah.
hardly took a beating.
They were able to open very quickly after.
Yeah.
I mean, they had cleanup obviously, but it wasn't anything like we
Yeah.
had after Debbie
right.
or.
And I
or
think
Adalia.
Margaritaville folks think that the further their beach out is, I think they're going to leave the seawall exposed a little bit now, so they can in
Hey,
the
I don't
future they can maybe try and stop the velocity of the storm surge, which it was brutal in that spot.
Well, it's interesting. You know, people that have been here a long time know that those seawalls exist, but when you see these storms, you really see how much seawall was
Yes.
actually
Right.
there back in the day. And if you look at some of the pictures from back in the 70s and 80s, the water came up to those seawalls. People used to, I'm talking to former Mayor Murphy, he would talk about how they, at the south end, they would fish off the pier or off the concrete.
Into the water right there.
Yeah, the water came right up to it. They would fish right off
Wow,
off the seawall. So
Crazy.
how-
Now it
how
comes
much
up
it's
in
accreted,
violent ways.
you know, you've heard Dave
Mhm.
talk about how much it's accreted over the years. That's how far that beach is accreted down there, where it used to come right up to the seawall, and they would fish the local.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is.
I think we're going to have one bitch ass party when they have sand
Hey,
at
hey,
Leonardo
hey,
Arms. That's for sure, man. I,
think
mean, holy moly.
It'll be nice when it's all done. If you haven't had a chance to go up by the Pink Shell area on the north end of the
Yeah.
island to check it out, northwest end of the island, depends on who you want to talk to. But if you go up there and look at that, it's nice. It goes all the way out. There are some shells in it. There are some things in it, but it'll bleach itself out. But you can start to kind of see what it looks like when it's done.
Yeah. So Barry Lawrence, everybody knows Barry. The
Yeah.
voting on Tuesday is going to be at the town hall trailers, right?
No, the voting will be inside Bay Oaks gym.
Oh, okay. I told somebody wrong information.
Yeah,
Because usually it's in the
originally-
trailers.
Originally it was, but it's difficult for staff to have to take all the equipment
For the
out of the
meetings.
trailers and move it over to the gym. It just made sense. And we have a meeting the day before the actual voting day of the 5th. So it just made sense to put them over there
I
because it's
gotcha.
a bigger area. And then we don't have to pick up and uproot all of our electronic equipment
Yeah.
and move it over there. It just made more sense.
So if you're voting on the island, if you,
Go into the
over,
gym.
over a third of the residents on the island have already voted, or the voting
We voted yesterday. Yeah.
eligible voters. Where did you go to vote?
The library up off of Gladiolus
That's
and
what I'm gonna do.
Bass.
Okay, so
I'm gonna
you,
go vote.
I'm a mail-in voter because I have no patience for
I
the
think
long lines.
I think your time is up. I think 24th is the last day you could do your mail-in ballot.
You already did it, right?
No, it is.
I thought it was.
No, I think it's
it was
your requested. Is it too late
is
to
it
vote by
requested or
mail?
drop it off. You can't. Well, I saw yesterday that they still had the guy sitting next to
He
the box.
just
You could put it
panicked
in.
big time.
I got to vote against the pot amendment for crying out loud. I mean,
Just
holy
stop
moly.
at Bass Road on your way home and vote. It
I
literally
know.
takes 10 minutes.
It takes 10
If
minutes
you
at the
guys,
library.
there are 6 amendments on the ballot this November. If you don't know about these 6 amendments, you should go back and watch our show yesterday because Matt Caldwell told me exactly
Yesterday?
how to vote. Yeah,
Oh, was
yeah.
it yesterday? What's
Saturday.
Well, I think the important thing on these amendments that people need to do is don't just read what the text is.
Today? No.
Read the actual amendment.
Yeah,
When you read the actual amendment, you'll be like, well, now I can see why they
Because
put that
a
up
yes
there.
is a
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
gonna get. It's easy to get confused.
It's when the governor was in town, whatever day it was this week, he was up at Fort Myers. He really talked about Amendment 3 and 4, and he went into detail. And he's a JAG lawyer, so you know the guy.
which,
really-
which ones were those? 3 and 4.
3 is pot amendment, and 4 is the abortion one.
Oh
So
yeah, those are
he
the
really
big ones
went
that
into-
have TV ads all.
Yeah,
all
those
over
are
it.
those are the 2 big ones that they talked about. So he went into in-depth detail. His whole
Yeah.
thing, he was up there for about an hour, and the whole thing was
You see, I
about
think I
those.
see now that I look back on this national election, and I'm not talking about national politics. Everybody, don't worry.
Yeah.
I think DeSantis would
But here
have
we
a,
go.
well. The amendments are
Yeah,
local. Or there's
No, I think
state.
DeSantis would have had a better chance of being nominated president if he went on Joe Rogan instead
Yeah.
of Elon Musk at the time when the whole thing broke down.
Yeah, probably.
Because clearly
yeah.
going on Joe Rogan is the thing.
Isn't he the largest podcast?
Oh yeah, yeah,
He's got a lot
like
of
22
people following.
million downloads
You know,
every show.
The thing I found the most interesting about
Yes. Yeah.
Number 2, that's
Number
right. How dare you?
he is number 2, all right.
Oh.
Good one, man.
Right
Good
on
one. You
fun.
got to be able to take a joke like
that.
that. That was good. That was good. Did you guys set that up before the show? We're gonna figure out how to call Ed an ass.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're so easy. You just
Or the
softball it
byproduct
out
of
there,
it,
and
one
it's
or the
like,
other.
Sometimes. I
Yeah.
should have
Yeah.
worn my nut butter today to
Hey,
protect
hey.
myself from you. What? Are there kids here?
yes.
Oh, so Jacob, did you bring your kids? Oh, put some earmuffs on that kid because my wife's got a potty mouth.
Oh yeah, right.
What were we talking about?
No,
DeSantis.
Yes, when he was talking about Amendment 3, which I found very interesting, and again, this is where I think his lawyer skills come out, was he it'll be the only amendment of its kind. I don't care if you smoke weed or you don't smoke weed. To me, that doesn't matter. But you do what's best interest of you. But
he's a fence sitter on the pot.
No, what I found very interesting is how there was no repercussions. So, and he laid out this example. If anyone in here is driving home today and someone that is under the influence of pot hits and kills you or hits and injures you,
right,
there's no repercussion against the person that supplied it. There's no repercussions against the people that manufactured it.
Mm.
And it's in the amendment.
Yeah. And it's so hard.
But without reading the entire amendment, you would never know that. That really I mean, and they've put $110 million, a Canadian company,
crazy,
into the advertising and all to try to push it forward. It's just do your research and make a decision.
All right, back to local issues, Dan, because this group here is a bunch of pot smokers. I know that for sure.
I'll tell you what, I let the dogs out this morning, and it was like, poof, look, I was punched in the face. We got neighbors it's a rental house next door to us, and I walked outside, and our dog Foley, he's a black lab. I didn't have his collar on him. I had the one on Axel, and all of a sudden he starts barking, and he boom across. He started running. I
wanted some of that contact high.
Well, I didn't know that the lady was sitting out.
Oh boy!
I didn't know anybody was there because there was no cars in the driveway. We didn't hear anything. And he went across the backyard into their yard, and he seems like he's aggressive because he's growling at you the entire time he's running at you. But the closer he gets, the faster the tail goes. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, I get pets. Oh, I get pets." And she sat there and froze, and I kept saying, "I'm sorry." And I'm trying to tell her he's friendly. She ended up petting him. Everything was fine. But
was she smoking weed? Is that what you were saying?
Somebody was. I don't know if it was them or the people next door, but it was like. He did come back a little slower though. He was
okay,
and he was like, "I need some more food."
Dude, you're killing it today, man. You were totally killing it.
Like with breakfast.
You should run for office, man. You're killing it. So where is the town on the impact fee study?
They're not here yet, but they're working on it. I mean, it's not just a matter of let's throw numbers at the board and see what sticks. So, Sarah and Jason Green, their company Access is who we contracted to do it. They said 8 months. Hopefully they'll be able to get it back. We got to getting pretty close to that.
Yep.
But it's important that people know that whether these projects that are coming up, whether they get approved, denied, whatever, until they get their permit, they still have to pay the impact fees. Even if they get approved, they're not going to
avoid it.
They're not going to avoid it. And every single developer you've ever talked to, they fully expect to pay impact. It's not like anybody's trying to ditch them.
So we're going to play a little game with the audience in a little while. Like everybody's going to get a sheet of paper in a little while, and we're going to ask you to write down what your number one public benefit would be.
There you go.
Yeah, because I think that would be an interesting exercise with everybody here. But before we get to that, Donia, can you help us out with the paper? You guys, would you agree that the town of Fort Myers Beach gave the timeshare owners of EIBC whiplash? That if I could just give everyone a little bit of history, but
you mean, or
the town. If I could just give everyone a little bit of history, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. They came forward with an ugly building. Somebody sent them back to come up with a prettier building and maybe get it off Estero Boulevard, and they did that, and then the town kind of told them you need to have a view corridor, and so they built a 10-story foot building with a view corridor, and then it was decided that. Well, the view corridor really isn't public benefit, or 10 stories was too high. Of course, the town has an issue with height right now. And then, so I have no idea where EIBC is right now, other than they got rejected after they got approved, after the town staff approved them. So,
well, I would in full, I tried to articulate it the best I could in the meeting. If you want to use the word whiplash, to me, the whiplash came from the applicant. When we sat down with the applicant way back, right after Ian, with the fire district, Andy had just gotten hired, Frankie, we all sat down with them, our town staff. They showed us a diagram of something that they could build back within the current codes.
Okay.
And that they were happy with that. And everybody was going down the path. Yep, we could live with that. There was a couple little things here that
was
were
it
some
two buildings at that time?
It was I want to say 2 or 3. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was
lower.
It was lower. And the way that the buildings were all aligned, they all had their views, which meets their HOA requirements and all of that. And everybody was kind of kumbaya. Yep, this looks great. And then the fire department's like, well, we aren't quite sure. I mean, these are renderings, but we're not quite sure we can get our apparatuses in there to turn around. Okay, no problem.
What's the street that you're talking about to turn around? There's a side.
Inside. The way the buildings were set up, so they were kind of like a horseshoe. They were kind of like a V with a building in the front, similar to kind of what they had.
So that had nothing to do with the side street. That
had nothing to do with the side street. So they being able to pull into the center to be able to get to what they needed to do, they didn't feel that there was enough room to be able to get in there and turn around. Okay, we'll go back and we'll tweak a few things. That's where it was left. And then there was no contact. They got rid of that architect, is what we asked them in the meeting. I asked them, this architect came on after that architect that was let go. And then what we saw at the LPA was something completely different. It was that wall of whatever it was.
The first drawing that people
saw in public.
Gotcha.
Was that what you saw?
Okay.
So that was actually the second iteration of what they had proposed, or what they were willing to, that was actually going to come forward.
I didn't know that.
Nobody does. That's why I was trying to bring it up. So I understand people's frustration. It was like, well, you told them to do that. No, nobody told them to do that. They had a plan that they presented to staff and to the fire department, who said, okay, we think we can make this work. And then it changed to what we saw at the LPA, and the LPA said that's not going to work. And they made a recommendation to add a view corridor, and then we saw what we saw now. So there's a lot of things that go inside that. And I flat out asked their architect on the record,
yes,
if it wasn't for if they made the argument the view corridor was asked for, which it was by the LPA, and that was a public benefit. My simple question to them was, if the view corridor was not in consideration, the town, could you develop a building that would meet current land development code of comp plan requirements without asking for any deviations? And their hired architect said, yes, we can.
I do remember seeing that.
So it's not that anybody was against anything or for anything. It was that project that was presented, in my opinion, didn't meet what it was asking for to be able to it just didn't make sense to me. It wasn't something that I thought was the right design for.
So Dan, do you think if they came back, and I hope they do come back, I hope they don't decide to sell the property because they're so frustrated.
No, they're so what we just found out, and it'll be on the agenda for tomorrow. I think we're going to discuss it. I don't know if it's under attorney's items or what it's under, but they're going to come back in under there's a thing of prejudice and not prejudice, legal beagle stuff. And when you make a decision, if it's without prejudice or prejudice, you can't come back within a year or something. So they're going to ask us to rehear it, not rehear the whole thing, but basically make our ruling. And I can't remember if it's I'm not a lawyer. I can't remember if it was with prejudice, without, but it'll allow them to make changes and come back to and ask again. Because the way it currently is, they couldn't come back for 12 months. So they want to be able to make changes and come back.
So two things. Do you think that EIBC is going to come back with two smaller buildings?
I'm doing whatever they want to come back with.
Let me rephrase my question. If they came back with two smaller buildings and no view corridor, do you think that would be okay? You think that would have a better chance? Because people don't want 10 stories. Obviously, that was the reason why.
Well, so this isn't, I think they did a very good job of trying to explain that this is a condo building. It's not, it's not a hotel.
New development,
it's a something. And there isn't a single person that doesn't want these 75 units to come back, because that's what they had.
Yes.
But it has to come back with something that makes sense for the entire island, because yes, you have your property and you have your 75 units and you have your rights, but you have neighbors. And you have a land development code and you have a comp plan that you have to adhere to. So hopefully they'll come back with something a little more realistic. But we'll see what happens.
Guess if they come back with 3 or 4 over flood or whatever, maybe it's 5 over flood. I don't know, whatever. It's closer to what you have in the land development code and the comprehensive plan. Why do they need to bring you public benefit?
Well, that's another part of my point was they technically don't.
Okay.
But when you start asking for something above what is within the land development code, in the term, then you've got to provide something to be able to get more than what you've got. And
right. But I think
people didn't feel that a view corridor was enough public benefit for what they were asking for.
I have no idea. I get whiplash listening to people when they say view corridor, and then no view corridor. Is that a public benefit or not?
I don't know. To me personally, I think being able to drive down Estero Boulevard and see the Gulf of Mexico, that's why we all moved here. When you drive down Bonita Beach Road and you can't even see the water, you don't feel like you're at a beach. You feel like you're just driving through another.
I don't know. You see, I feel differently, and that's why public benefit is so different. It's so subjective. But let me just comment on that. I drive down Estero Boulevard to find a place to park so I can go on the beach and see the beach. So I don't need to look through the buildings to see the beach. I just want to be I want my fat ass to be sitting in the sand and be on the beach. Do you really, honestly, do you really drive down the beach and you're doing this and you're doing this. Oh my God, I can see the beach. Is that true?
When you're sitting in traffic, what else is there to do?
Yeah, well, look on your phone. What everybody else does, they're on their phone.
We just look out.
Put pictures of the beach on your phone. Nice pictures of the water, flowing
like
water.
Everyone that lives here, I've probably seen sunset from almost every possible angle on the island,
especially
whether
now.
it's from a Cerro Boulevard or from the beach. But it never gets old.
Never gets
you're
old.
sitting in the beach, you're sitting in traffic,
Well, I don't even know
and the sun's setting, and you get to see it through what is now a vacant lot. To me, I think it's nice. Doesn't mean that I'm going to approve a project because of it, or deny a project because of it. But it's nice. I mean, being able to see that sunset when you're sitting in traffic is kind of nice.
Yeah, I mean, not that anyone cares what we think because we don't have a vote, which we say a million years ago. But and I just feel. Come on up.
Oh, it's back again.
Come on up. So you're going to state your name and then ask your question.
What's it? Good morning.
Okay. Morning. I'm Bob Burnett. I'm from Estero Cove.
Hold it up so we can.
Yeah.
Bob Burnett. I'm from Estero Cove.
Okay.
Okay, my question is this: shouldn't Margaritaville be the bar? Like, in other words, like Outrigger wants to put up a 10-story hotel. Okay, where are they going to park? How many people going to live on this island? So the elephant in the room to me is you need a double-decker parking dock. If you want to go up that high, you need double-decker parking. And how about giving some free spots to the public? They could come downtown. Right now, you can't park here in the summer downtown.
Mm-hmm.
I bike because and my kids come and say, we rented a car, we're driving down. There's no place to park.
Yeah.
So that's one of the public good could happen. You could make it so that these hotels have to give you a certain amount of free parking for the public, or something reasonable, or a bus, supply a bus free to the island, bring people in. Because where are you going to put all these people? Moss Marine wants 350 rooms, 3 hotels. How are they getting there? Over this bridge? No way. That bridge will collapse.
Well, I don't think that's going to happen. Point well taken.
And that to me is like just the bar. And you get involved with Laola, same thing. I think that should be the bar of how high you should go. They fought for years to get what they wanted, and I think it's great. Mm-hmm. But why are you going to keep going? Like, when do you stop? And I don't agree with the open space part of. I pay to have an ocean view. Right, I'm paying for it.
Yeah,
and that's unfortunately the way life is.
Right.
I can afford to pay.
So
for
I'll try the best I can to answer.
And I just want to ask a question before he goes. So does it matter to you? And I'm just putting this out there, where Margaritaville is located versus where the other places are located? Does location matter on height? You hear yes?
Does location matter on height?
So are there locations on the beach where you would feel like, oh, they could go higher than that? Or is it just
there's two issues that brings up. So let's take the Outrigger, which I love, the old Outrigger with the little tiki bar.
Right.
Okay, go 10 stories, fine. They're not blocking really anyone's view.
Okay.
Okay, so I can agree with that. They could go 10 stories if they wanted. My question still is, how do you get them here? There has to be some public good of transportation.
Right. I just was wondering if, the location.
So I'll do my, we talk a lot about public benefit, right? And people like to always use Margaritaville because that was the last large project approved on the island. Margaritaville is its own project. EBIC is its own project. Outrigger is its own project. Seagate, all these projects are their own project. I've always tried to say to people, if someone came to you and said, and everybody likes to use Margaritaville and that they're now the benchmark, you can't go over this, you can't do that. If a developer come in and say, just to be the devil's advocate or the other side of the coin and say, I want to give you back half my density, but I want to be 4 stories higher, would you say yes or no? You would say no. Okay. And I've talked to other people that would say absolutely, because that means it's less traffic. That means I'm not going to have as many people here, but it's a little bit higher, but I can live with it. So when we talk about heights and we talk about traffic, all of that has to do with each project is different. Margaritaville has enough parking for its own building. What Moss Marine's going to propose was what they're going to propose. What Seagate's proposing, they have enough parking to more than enough parking to suffice for what they're doing. When I look at public benefits, the first thing I look at, and I've thought a lot about this on all of these projects over the last 3 or 4 years, what is something that never changes on this island, right? And that's the people that come to the island and the vibe that we have on the island. You can add height, you can add density, you can add intensity, you can take it away, you could do all that. But every single person sitting in here, I would be willing to bet, and I don't know all of them, but I'd be willing to bet most or some could live anywhere they want to live. But they chose Fort Myers Beach. They could live in Naples, they could live in Sanibel, they could live in Marco. They could live on the other coast. They could live anywhere they want to live, but they chose here. Why? Because of the environment, because we're sitting in a place like this, and you look out here, you can't tell who's a billionaire, who's a millionaire, and who's a thousandaire. You can't tell because nobody wears their wealth in their sleeve. They're part of the community. They work hard.
Well,
in
unless
the community,
they're wearing a Rolex.
right? To me, that's a public benefit. What I mean by that is, are you going to be a community partner? Number one, if you're just coming in to build something and then you're going to go back to wherever you're going to go and you're not going to be involved in the community, you're not a community partner. Community partnership to me is a number one thing. Infrastructure is a close second. Not just can proposing handle what you're going to do, water, stormwater, sewer, all that stuff. Is it going to enhance the people that live here and come to visit here? Is it going to enhance that? If it's not, if you're just building something, then that's a true tangible public benefit that nobody likes to talk about because it's underground, you can't see it. But it makes a difference when you come out of your house and you got 6 inches of water, again, because your street doesn't.
Or no water pressure.
Or no water pressure. Or
to flush your toilet.
So these are these are tangible things that I think mean, moving traffic. How do you entice people to not come on it? These are all things. View corridors, height, all these. We could talk and argue all day long. What's important to you? Is it a restaurant? Is it a view corridor? But because something is, like you said, parking is important to you, but maybe a restaurant isn't. The next person is going to come up and say, I live on the south end. A restaurant's important to me. People can find a place to park. So those types of things can be worked out. And they're not just a public benefit for the island. They're a benefit to the people that are developing these projects too, right? It is not just, they may not be making a ton of money off it, but
they're not doing it for free.
How many people are going to go stay in a hotel on a beach that doesn't have a bar or restaurant? Not very many, right? So although they may not make any money for the hotelier or the developer, it's something that's needed to be able to provide services to entice people to come there, or they're just going to go down the street somewhere else. So is that really truly a public benefit, or is it a mutual benefit? To me, I keep going, and again, I keep thinking about this, and I was going to bring it up tomorrow at some point. This island is what this island is, and it has not changed. Over 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. You talk to people like Lee Melzek. You talk to people that have been here for decades, that went to the school, Barbara Hills, those type of people. The buildings have changed, but the culture hasn't. The people haven't. The people that come here haven't. They can buy bigger buildings and they can build nicer things and they can live anywhere they want. But they come here because of what you see here today. People come together, they help each other. And if you're not going to be a community partner, then there's nothing else left after that. If you're just going to build something and say, here, I got a pool.
Do you think all the builders that have come forward right now with proposals are good community partners? All of them?
I would say, well, let's just use the three biggest ones. Moss Marine,
sure,
they've been here forever, right?
100%.
I think they're invested in the community.
Yep.
Seagate is a local one.
Yep.
They've been around, in Bay.
Yep.
They're good community partners. Now, does the project make sense?
Obviously not right now. None of them have made sense yet.
I think the other thing too
we
is
haven't really had one. Tomorrow will be the first one.
You make a good point about them being individual projects, but what I read is people want to put the rule and just have it across the board. They want the height to be. And I think that's
nothing
difficult.
chaps my backside more than when I hear people. And
certainly don't want to chap.
I was sitting.
That's a lot of chapping.
Yeah, it is a lot of chapping.
That's
well done. Touche.
Nobody laughed at that though. I didn't get any applause for that.
No, I was at the LPA meeting and I sat and listened to the whole thing because I just didn't want to miss anything in case the internet fall off. And it kept being brought up that, well, the council needs to make a decision. The council needs to make a decision. The council and the LPA have made a decision. The land development code and the comp plan haven't been tested.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you can't come in and ask for something more. What people are trying to push us to say now, in my opinion, is 6 okay? You included, Ed. Is 6 okay? Is 10 okay? You're never going to hear me say 6 is okay or 10 is okay or 15 or
Right.
17 is okay. I'm going to tell you the land development code and the comp plan are okay. The process, if you want to ask for more, is okay.
Comprehend
Doesn't mean you're going to get it.
Yeah. Right.
But
right.
I think it's a dangerous thing. I don't think council should get into the business of saying our land development code and comp plan say this, but we'd be okay with this.
Yeah.
Then you might as well change the land development code and the comp plan.
Okay, Dan, but to take that the next step further, where you guys have muddied the water is you're allowing public benefit to be part of the decision. Anita came on our show to our house one time. She came on our show and I asked her point blank, should public benefit be part of the decision making? At that time, she said no. I don't know if she believes that or feels the same way today, but she said no. Well, you guys don't have any clear direction on what public benefit is.
And now I've been firm. I shouldn't say firm, but I thought I've been as vocal as I can be about this, and my position hasn't changed. What I feel is public benefit is different than you. It's different than him. It's different than him. And guess what? 10 years from now, it's going to be different.
But that's the only thing that's not fair to the developers. There's nothing that they can say, okay, I know I need to provide the town with this in order to at least ask for that. It's vague as can be.
I know,
Well,
but
you're laughing at me. You're saying I'm wrong?
No,
but each project is different.
No,
each project's going to be different.
Developers go in and they buy property. They know what they can do.
Different story. I'm with you.
They know what they can
agree
do.
with you.
Now, it doesn't mean it's the best use of that property. It doesn't mean it's the best thing for the island. It doesn't necessarily mean, but they know what they can build.
Right.
They're not spending 30, 40, 50, 60
Right,
million
but you
dollars
guys-
on property. Go,
But Dan,
I
you're
wonder
not
what I could
but
do
Dan,
with it.
But Dan, you're avoiding what I'm saying.
I'm not avoiding. I will
You've
answer
given
it
them the
directly.
back door to get in on the CPD. Not you. The town has given them the
No.
back door to ask for more.
The people
you're
that
not
wrote the
setting-
comp plan and the land development code originally.
But then you
had
have this
vision to
wavy
allow that.
wall kind of thing of what public benefit is, and they don't know what you want.
So let me just ask you this. And I've never been a fan of this, and I'll continue to say I'm not a fan of it. I think you could put ideas out there of these are things that people agree are public benefits. Some do, some don't. You can agree on, disagree, whatever. I'm okay with that. Why is it the town's position, or why does the town, and this is just simply me asking, why is it the town has to say, Mr. Developer, if you do this, this, or this, you then get this much height or this much density. If you do this, this, or this, you can get this much height. Then why not just change the land development?
Yeah,
code and the
why not
comp plan?
change it? You make it easier for them. I agree
So
with
you're
you.
saying we should, as a town, we should make it easier for developers?
No. What I'm saying is
That's what you just said.
What I'm saying is you've given them an opening because you say some kind of public benefit will get some kind of height. That's really the bottom line. But there's no definition of what the public benefit is because it's different it's not even the same on 2 sheets of paper in this place.
I know, but I don't understand
You know
why
what
you're
public
so
benefit comes out of?
concerned or worried about that.
I'm worried about it. I don't even have a vote.
It's the same thing with height. Maybe it's okay here. Maybe it's not there. There's different reasons that come into play. If you pigeonhole it, like he said,
Why are you attacking me?
Because
So
I
what
think you're being dumb.
what you're asking
If
for
you
is someone to say,
pigeonhole it-
if I give you a view corridor, I should get 2 extra stories.
Right.
That's not how it works.
And you're not going to have everybody
Or if you
agree
give us
on
a view
that.
corridor and a parking stall and 4 metered parking spots, you should get this much height. That's what you're saying we should do. I think that's a dangerous thing to do.
Okay, then take public benefit out of like Anita said, take it out of the equation completely. Here's the land development code and the comprehensive plan. If you can't build to 4 over code, don't build. It's not my fault.
That's not,
it's
again,
not my fault.
I go back to my original point. That's not how the island became its own entity.
Mm-hmm.
The people that wrote the land development code and the comp plan put that in there because they were smart enough to understand what works 30 years ago doesn't necessarily work now.
Right.
But to have the path and what works now isn't necessarily going to work 30 years from now.
Right.
But it allows
Which
a
is why
developer
you
up-
can't
and
pin
it
it
can be
down.
done.
Yeah.
It can be done. And concessions can be made. Everybody wants to use Margaritaville. They had concessions that they had to make to get what they got.
It was complete extortion is what it was. You guys made them.
It is, but it can be done. Now
Right.
you can argue whether, and I've had developers argue with me, well, it's an ugly building, or I would never build that. Okay, then don't buy the property.
Wait, Margaritaville's an ugly building?
I've had people tell me that. They're like,
I don't know
"Well,
about that.
I've
I don't
never-
think it's
I mean,
ugly.
But that's your opinion too.
Right.
I mean,
It is
I don't,
what it
I
is.
think it's
Again, it's an
beautiful, but
opinion.
I'm just saying it's an opinion, just like public
No,
benefit
I
is an
think
opinion.
I think your documents that say 3 over flood or 4 over flood, depending on what it is with the storm, BFE and all that, that should be the rule. That should be the rule. It makes it a lot easier for everybody to understand. That seems like a lot of people want.
Then I love our neighbors to the north, but then go to Sanibel because that's the decision that they have made.
Right. No,
they
no
have
variances.
made the decision. This is it. If you want anything more, don't come here. Guess what? No one's going there.
Well, I don't know.
No
if
one's
nobody
building
goes
any
there.
new development there
I
because again, I keep going back to 30, 40, 50 years ago. This island was founded by people who worked hard to be able to live in a paradise, but liked having nice things too. It hasn't changed. That vision hasn't changed. We're still dealing with it. Just because Ian wiped it all out doesn't mean you have to throw that away or someone's not going to build, God forbid. As long as you have a nice beach and you have the Gulf of Mexico, may not be this builder, may not be that builder, but you're going to have someone build. But I agree with your point. We need to give people a little better direction.
On the public benefit, you mean?
But we're just 5 people who are going to change every 4 years. No, not with the public benefit. With we can say view quarters, we can say restaurants, we can say walkovers, we can say transient, we can say all of these things. And a developer hears, okay, if I do these 5 things, I'm going to ask for as much as I can because that's what they do,
right?
Which they should. They're running a business. And then we'll figure out somewhere. Not every developer does that.
Okay, just so develop.
I hear a lot of
that's
people.
why every project is different. And you got to look at every single project completely different because some are going to offer what appears to be more or is more public benefit, and some will offer none. You got to look at every project different. And I don't think it's fair to compare one project to the next. Because if you approve 3 stories above flood,
I'm going to have to start shutting you down too.
Yeah. Well, he's trying to push.
All right.
You're trying to push the town into something I think is very dangerous for the town to do, quite honestly.
I think it makes it easier.
Yeah.
So the thing is, how you got here, I got them both off now. So
cut it out.
The thing is how, you've got Diamond Head that is always the one that a voice to the people. And that's why I don't understand. If you wanted everything so cut and dry, they wouldn't have incorporated. You don't really need a voice then, because the rule is the rule.
Well, I cannot stress enough. I think the most important thing any developer could do is have charrettes, have meetings with the people. The people are going to tell you, they're going to design the building for you for the most part, within reason. They're going to say, I can live with that. I can't live with that. And then you'll get to, I try to tell every developer I've ever met with, the closer you can get to a 50% yes, the easier your job is going to be before you come before the council of the LPA. I don't know. Can you hear me?
And you're not going to get, you're not going to get everybody to agree.
You're not going to get everybody to agree.
Right.
But you look at the developments that have been approved on the island. They went through countless meetings with the public, with the voting public,
and different iterations on their projects.
They have different iterations, and they have this, and it's like at some point you'll find that happy medium. But I don't think putting it, I don't think a council or an LPA should put out there, we can live with this, but it's not in the land development code or the comp plan. If you're going to do that, put it in the land development comp. And guess what's going to happen, Ed, when you do that? If you do that,
what?
They're going to say, well, now it says we can have 6 stories and we can increase our density by 20%. I want a 50% increase in 12 stories.
Well, I mean,
That's
if it's in there,
but
if it's in there, it's in there. And that, I mean,
well, then what? Then do you say you got to stick to that?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Listen,
I think you're talking yourself in circles, Ed.
No, I think, listen, public benefit is one of the most talked about topics right now. I mean,
and it's the hardest thing to quantify for sure.
Yeah, the LPA is going to meet for 3 hours on Tuesday to try and come up with some kind of recommendation for the town council on public benefit. That's going to be interesting.
I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And I think that those should be recommendations. They shouldn't be policy. That's what I'm saying.
Sure.
I think you should definitely.
It's going to be a list of 700 public benefits. And how do you, I mean, everybody's got, even Jim, we interviewed Jim Dunlap yesterday on the show. And
he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is great. I hope he runs for council someday.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah. And it's just he's got a different view than I think Anita has, and that's fine. They're totally professional and they communicate their differences in the LPA meeting about what should be built and what shouldn't be built. And I think there are always going to be people on the island right now that see those open spaces and they love them. I think they never want them to go away.
I think.
But and there's people on the other side too.
Let's talk about Jim for a second, Jim, because I thought he did a very good job of articulating his point on his motion and why he approved it. If you actually go back and watch it, I don't agree with all of his points, but I agree with most of his points. He didn't necessarily approve the project. He approved the process in which the developer went through to be able to get to where he got to be able to ask for it. He never said he agreed with the project, at least that I remember. He agreed with the process, and I agree with him. Having someone willing to come to the table and sit down and meet with staff, meet with council members, meet with the LPA, meet with the public, and try to come up with what they feel is what people want is what the process should be. And then I think they said 28, 29 iterations of what they have in front of us now and tomorrow. That's great. That's a process. Now, if it gets approved, it gets approved. If it gets denied, it gets denied. But I think what Jim was saying is that is the process that works. And maybe if this project gets approved, great, then you move on to the next one. If it doesn't get approved, then I'm sure they'll come back with something different. But I think that's what, and I don't want to speak for Jim, but at least that's what I heard in Jim saying. And he did make another point that, sorry, Jim, but I disagree with you on this part of it, is whatever someone can build by right. People like to use, well, it's tax dollars, we need tax dollars. If you have 141 rooms or 150 rooms, we'll say, whether it's at 3 stories or 10 stories, does the 10 stories actually make that big of an economic impact once it's built? Does it? I don't know. Is it if the units are the same size, but it's shorter, not taller, does the economic impact is it a really big difference between what could be built by right and what they're asking for on any project? I don't know that it does. Not having something built versus having something built has a huge difference when it comes to the economic impact of the island. But I don't know necessarily that whether something's taller, bigger, wider, more dense, or more intense, not dense. I won't say that because that would have a difference. But intensity, height, I don't know that makes a bigger difference on the overall economic impact of the island if you could build something by right or versus something they want to build. That's my 2 cents.
All right. Well, I
100% agree with
I
Jim
think
said.
that was 4 cents because you were going on there
I got a lot
for a while.
of sense. Just not a lot of common, right? That's what a lot of people tell me.
So just real quick, and then we'll go on to the final topic, which is the trailers. These are your answers: discounted parking and access to the beach, public space, not a view corridor, public access and a view corridor. See, 2 in a row where they're completely opposite. Bike lanes and public restrooms. Yeah, more public restrooms. Like, I think there should be a public restroom every 100 yards. Public restroom and parking. Public beach access, free use of the beach. Public benefit, no density or height increase. I don't know what that is. Infrastructure such as public bathrooms. Geez, I think we got a winner here. Bathrooms, more bathrooms. Resident discount. A beach bar restaurant with public restrooms. So I mean, it's all over the place.
Where are all you people going to the bathroom if there's such a lack of toilets down here?
If you were to go,
don't go in the Gulf.
In my opinion, what's one word you could take out of all of those?
Ambiguity.
Inclusiveness, right?
I didn't get that word out of that.
If you have a bathroom, anyone on the island can use
it.
I
see.
If it's a public restroom. Yeah. If you have something where someone can walk up on the beach and grab a beer or grab a drink, everyone can do it.
Yeah.
Right. So it's, to me, I've always felt, and that I like to use the word inclusiveness because that's what this island has always been. Everybody, you don't have to have a private card to come in here, right? You don't have to have you may have to pay to come in some spots, but you're still allowed to come in. And I think that's what this is my opinion, but I think that's what this island is about.
Yeah.
It's about everybody, whether you're
about wealthy
the people or whether you're not wealthy, you still have the ability to come in.
What I like
it'll
about
work itself out, right? If you walk into a place and you're not wealthy and it's $20 for a drink, you're not going to stay there long, probably, right? But I think you feel like you're part of the group.
Holy Christ! Get your own show. Let her in here, man, will you?
I was trying to ask her a question. She's probably got jet lag. And anyway,
what I like about a lot of the answers, speaking as someone who we know doesn't live here on the beach.
Yes, they remind us all the time.
Yes, that public benefit, like public restrooms, that's a benefit to me. It's not like people are sitting there saying only public benefit for the public that lives on the the beach. It's
Yeah.
And the
Public.
parking. Yeah, it's for everybody, not just residents. I guess.
I think this.
But I think like infrastructure.
Yeah.
That
Big
does. I mean, it does sort of help all of us, but that really is. I think that is
infrastructure is
a big thing for you guys that live here. I mean,
yes. If your toilet don't flush,
but you
your
didn't
showers
hear
don't
that.
work.
But you didn't. You didn't see that reflected in
because
there.
I think most people just assume that a new development they're gonna.
Well, they will have to. Any new development will have to meet Swift Mud. It'll have to meet all the requirements it needs to be able to supply it. But doesn't mean you can't go above and beyond or contribute into a fund that potentially goes to another part of the island.
An extra water tower.
All right, enough about the public benefit. It's 11 o'clock. Can we talk about the trailers? Let's get the trailer thing out on the table here. What is? I mean,
so who leaves on November 18th?
No, wait a second. Now you can't just do it like that. I gotta set the stage a little bit.
Well,
like
if
yesterday.
You set the stage. We're gonna be here till noon.
Yesterday,
maybe I need to shut their mics off.
Yesterday I went over and I had a couple beers with Tom and Chris over at La Ola, and we were talking about what's going to happen, and the whole FEMA thing. Obviously, I think it's a given that FEMA doesn't care. They don't see people like we see people. They don't see La Ola. They don't see Tom and Chris trying to make a living. They don't see the hurricane season ending. I don't know what the hell they see, and they seem to be putting the kind of pressure on the town that makes the town adversarial with the businesses, because the town doesn't know really what they should do, because you've said they're moving the goalposts. So where are the goalposts right now?
Well, the FEMA does know exactly what they want to do. They don't want repetitive losses. That's what they want. And anything that could potentially cause a repetitive loss, they don't want. They've been very clear about if you can pull it off the island with a light duty truck, it's okay. Evidently not for their trailers that would house people that were displaced after Ian, but I digress. So those trailers evidently aren't good enough. But so to me, exactly. What's a light duty truck? What's a time frame? And this is where I think FEMA does a lot of good things. And I know we bash on FEMA a lot, but their policies and their procedures and their decision making, to me, is I don't know how anything ever gets done, because it's not clear. Trailer. I know you want to make this about trailers or whatever reason. It's not just about trailers.
I don't mean to make it just about trailers. There's a whole bunch of different things, but Tom is in the middle of it, unfortunately.
Well, I can't speak for Tom, and I can't make Tom. I can't make decisions for Tom. If Tom chooses to bring his trailers back on the island when he knows he can't have them, why is that not a Tom issue? Why is that a town issue? We didn't hook up to his trailers and bring them back in the middle of the night and put them back in that spot. Tom did that. We didn't do that. So
did the sheriff.
So did the sheriff. So if you got a permit, you got a permit, right? That's what they're going to say. But we didn't make you do it. We told you when you were leaving.
Okay, but there are people that didn't leave too.
And guess what? The trailers. I keep saying trailers, and I don't want to say trailers. FEMA has been very clear. They want these things gone by the 18th.
Right.
We can't go hook up to the sheriff's trailer. We can't go hook up to his trailer. We can't go hook up to your trailer we can't go connect up to your Conic box at your condo, because I'm not using yours, but just at a condo building. We can't bring in a truck to hook up to your Conix box and take it off the island. There's this really weird thing called property rights that you can't do that, right? So we're doing what we feel that we're supposed to do, because we've been told since after Ian, as long as you're following the process you had in place before the storm, we're okay with it.
All right.
Now they're telling us, no, we're not.
So you got to.
Our process is, if you're not following the code you're not following code, we give you a violation. You have 30 days to come into compliance. And if you don't, you go to the magistrate and they take it from there. We've now been told as of last Friday from FEMA, that's not good enough.
Okay, so I understand that Andy.
That's what I mean by moving the
Andy
goalposts.
met with FEMA, or Andy and Frankie met with FEMA. Is that your update? Like
No, so FEMA has met. They are in constant communication. The disconnect, in my opinion, is our regional office is Atlanta, and then you have DC. One does not know what the other one is doing. It's very clear.
Right.
When we have Senator Scott help us out, he sends his comments to DC. We get a response. Atlanta has no idea.
Okay.
Or vice versa.
So are the residents, the 5,000 people that are in the National Flood Insurance Program, A, going to lose their discount, and B, going to get kicked out of the program, in your opinion?
Honestly, I don't know. And I know there's people that want to say what we talked about at the end of last meeting, that Andy and I were having a disagreement. That was not a disagreement. that was anger. Yes, I was angry because we were under the impression, because we were told if you follow your procedure, that's all we can ask you to do. And that's what we did. And then on Friday, what Andy was saying is, and he read it word for word, the response from our regional office that said, it's simply not good enough.
Well, if
it's not good enough, then tell us what is.
Do you feel like,
tell us what is, because we can't go hook up to his trailer and yank it off his property.
Do you feel like you've been the town has been communicating clear enough to people like Graham and Tom and the guy that's the Sun and Fun? And I mean,
yeah, I think we have.
What is
Get your damn trailers out of here before November 18th.
Okay.
Have we been very clear? I don't. Does anybody out here not got that message? I mean,
yeah,
until the 18th to be gone.
Well, yeah, you're not. That's not true. You told them they could go through your process. You did say you can go through the magistrate process.
No, we told you if you don't, we're going to violate you. We're going to code violate you. But we've told you, FEMA has said if you don't have these gone by the 18th.
All right, that's clear. That's clear.
I don't know how much more clear we can be.
No, I think you're clear right now, but I think up until the point of this interview, you were given
I'm not agreeing, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again.
Right.
I think them making them leave by the 18th at the
no
end
common
of hurricane
sense.
season,
No common sense.
It doesn't make any sense. You're outside of hurricane season. It's not going to harm anybody. It's going into the season where these businesses are going to be making the only money they make all year.
That's right. Coming up.
And you're now telling them that they 100%. Have to leave.
Yeah.
But their beef isn't with you. It's with FEMA.
Right.
No, well, no, it's always with us, because what FEMA will tell you, we don't make the rules. Your local municipality makes the rules. Well, when you're writing the check, you make the rules, right?
So they issued the date to be moved, so that's the rule, isn't that the rule?
At the end of the day, no. Well, they gave us a hard deadline. You have by the 18th. We pushed back and said, can we at least get till the start of next hurricane season? We understand you want them gone. We've already told people,
they said no,
that after 3, because we were trying to stay in, we were trying to stay in line with the Senate Bill 250. 3 years after the storm, you can have a temporary trailer if you're living residential. So we thought that made sense. You're going to be, you got to be gone. Everybody kind of was under that. They knew that was the deadline, and then FEMA decided that wasn't good enough.
You see, Chris Primo was saying, who owns the Lowell lot, he says, Dan, the 18th was not the original message we received. And I think what he means. Yes,
Chris, you're wrong. You're 100% wrong, because I know you and I have talked about it.
Okay, fair enough. So, what? Let's say, two things. Let's say
the letter's been public knowledge. I mean, it's
since July. Since July, it's a July letter.
It's been posted. It's not like it was not hard to get. I mean,
part of I think we're like. I talked to Frankie about the goods, and I love all these people. Don't get me wrong. He was given, like Graham was given, the impression from the town that being that he has a plan to rebuild, he was going to be okay in the trailer. But FEMA has never cared, in my opinion, FEMA has never cared about your plan.
They haven't.
No.
And so,
well, it's not our plan. It's our process.
Process, I meant. You're right.
It's our process. Right. It's not our plan. Our
when
plan
you were led to believe that they did.
Our plan is to follow our process. That's our plan.
So
now we're told that's not good enough.
So let's say on the 17th of November, all the trailers and the Connex boxes and the dumpsters and the porta potties are all off the island. Are you guaranteeing that the FEMA?
You don't even have to finish a question. No. I can't guarantee anything.
That's a dumb question.
But I know, but they're making you do that, but they don't give you a guarantee that the people will have their discount.
You will never get a guarantee. We have no idea what FEMA is going to do until FEMA makes the decision. No one does, and it's not just the town of Fort Myers Beach.
How wrong is that?
It's Lee County. It's
wrong.
Estero. It's Bonita. It's all Fort Myers. It's all of the other municipalities. And trust me, we talk about trailers because we're on a barrier island. They're getting an answer that's completely different than that.
Who's they?
The other municipalities.
Oh, okay.
Because our staff meets with the other municipalities, and we're trying to figure out, does this make sense to you? And when you have that many educated people in the same room going, this doesn't make sense to us. They're asking for information. We've already provided them. It started with, these 107 houses we feel have an issue. What are you going to do to correct it? I'm not telling you, there were stacks this high of paperwork, several stacks this high. Here's everything you asked for. We get a response from them. Well, they learned very early on that they no longer want it. And this drives me nuts. If I have to sit up here and ask questions, but you're not going to let me be in a meeting to be able to ask questions on behalf of the residents, I have a problem with that. We've been told that we can't have elected officials in the meetings with FEMA. Why? Exactly. Why?
Right.
Someone answer that for me. I can't be in that meeting.
Kieran, you're getting a little heated today.
Oh, it
Okay, I
drives me nuts.
appreciate it if
Well,
you just
because
calm
this
down a
is-
little bit
well,
because you're gonna have a heart attack.
Yeah, I'm
for
not
crying
gonna
out
have a
loud.
heart attack.
When was the last friggin'
It-
vacation you went on?
Well,
Your
it-
wife's losing it over
I
there
know.
about
Well,
how
it drives
crazy
me
you're
nuts
getting.
that-
Well, that's
Calm the
because
freak
you
down,
said
will you?
that.
Well, I didn't say what.
Well, I'm
You're
a
gonna
problem
have a heart
solver by-
attack.
I'm
He's
a problem
I've
solver by
never
nature,
seen
right?
him.
So-
I've never seen him get this all
I
worked
know.
up for crying
Well,
out
I'm a
loud.
problem solver.
Go
I'm
to
a
Key
problem
West
solver
for a
by
weekend
nature.
or
I wish,
something, will
yeah.
you?
If you're telling me there's a problem, we'll fix it, or we'll try to fix it. But when we fix it, and then you tell us that's not good enough,
But
okay,
but
what
Dan,
should I do to
everybody,
fix it? And then you fix it,
but
and it's not good
Dan,
enough.
calm down, or I'm shutting your microphone off. But people,
It's got me worked up.
people
'Cause
on this
affects
island,
a lot of people.
but people on this island believe that you try and solve the problems. There's no doubt about that. It sucks that FEMA has put you in this position where you can't. It's almost like you can't help the people because of FEMA.
So can you reach out to the elected officials again and
We
see
have,
if you can get
we've got
them
we've
to?
got Congressman Donalds and we've got Senator Scott working hard on our behalf. They're not getting answers.
Yeah.
What does that tell you? We're in my opinion, we're in an election year. We'll see what happens on November 6th.
Yeah. So
One way or
Jim,
another,
Well,
we're
that's
gonna have
not
a
going to
different
leave a lot of
administration.
time to.
well, he's beating around the bush there.
Not
But
beating around the
what
bush.
Jim
I'm just saying.
Adderholt thinks is if Trump gets elected, there's going to be a better chance that FEMA backs off on Fort Myers Beach. I don't know if
maybe. I don't
that
know.
trickles down like
don't know.
that, but I am not advocating you vote for Trump or not vote for Trump. I just want that clear out there. I am on the fence on national
Well,
politics, but I am voting for Trump.
And let me finish. let me finish on this, and then I know
Are you-
guys. I know we're
Then
going.
we got to go.
Are you going to have a heart attack
No,
today?
but here's the
Crying out
issue
loud.
that I have with FEMA.
Yeah.
The biggest issue I have with FEMA is this municipality has worked very hard for many years to achieve the ranking to have that 25% discount. Staffs before this staff, councils before this council worked very hard to make this community as resilient as it can to meet the guideline and the recommendations within FEMA's handbook, if you will. Now, because of one storm and because 105 potential properties that they deemed didn't do things the right way, they're going to take away over 5,000 policies or potentially take away 5,000 policy discounts and or out of the program altogether because 105 people in their eyes or properties they deemed didn't do things the right way. Here's a crazy idea. How about you just say you people are never going to get
Right.
flood insurance on your property?
Stop
but
with the
all
logic.
4,000 or 5,000 other people, you can still do it because you're doing it the right way.
Stop having.
Let's do
You
that.
can't talk common
Why do
sense
you
to the
why
federal
do you
government.
penalize
It's never
an
going to
entire
happen.
municipality, or in this case, almost the entire county
For the
that have
few.
worked very, very hard
Mhm.
for many years to jump through your hoops to make it a more resilient place. And now we're obviously going to be much more resilient than we were before.
For sure.
Ian.
Yeah.
How hard is it to say, you know what? We see you're trying.
Yeah.
You're giving us everything that we
Yes.
ask for. We're not going to. We see you're trying. Continue the good work. Keep going. Keep pressing. We'll help you anyway. Let's try that.
Yeah.
Let's try that for a change.
Ladies and gentlemen, vote Dan
Anyway.
Allers on
There you
Tuesday.
go.
Sorry, I got a little worked up.
Wow, Dan, go put your vote for Dan Allers thong on and meet us at the pool. How dare you? I got to read ads. What the hell are you doing like that for? Why don't you just walk away? Like everybody, like the show's over. She just gets up and walks away, crying out loud. Don't touch any of the merchandise. Keep her over there. She starts putting things away. The music doesn't start till 12:30. Relax. She puts the tank tops in the wrong box. Ladies and gentlemen, the Island Pancake House is open for business. Finally, after this second storm, and they had issues with FPL, another monopoly that I would just like to, never mind about that. The Island Pancake House is open for breakfast and lunch. They're open from 7:30 a.m. to 2 o'clock p.m. And they are willing to stay open longer because they have an open bar. And you know, people on the beach, after they have a pancake, they want to have a friggin' shot of bourbon, baby. So stop by the Island Pancake House, which is in the, what is that thing called down there? The Sea Grape Plaza down there. Sea Grape, yeah. That crazy guy with the parking lot owns the Sea Grape Plaza. Right? The parking Nazi. The Island's Pancake House, please stop by and tell them we sent you down there. Also, Parrot Key. Yeah, Parrot Key is the Green Bay Packer home for football, right? The Packers are, what are they, 6-0 now? 5-1? 5-1? They're a Super Bowl team. And we got your nasty quarterback, and we're 1-5. And if we can't beat the New England Patriots today, I swear, the Yankees have lost 2 in a row. The Jets suck. The Giants suck. I'm a Green Bay Packers fan now. That's what everybody thinks, Dave, that I'm a Packers fan all of a sudden. Who do you guys play today? What kind of fan are you? You don't even know who the hell your team's playing. You are a faux fan. Waterfront dining at Salty Sam's Marina. Island time is all the time at Parrot Key. They have Sunday brunch from 9 a.m. to noon featuring Monster Mary's bottomless mimosas. I know Dave had like 16 of those last Sunday when we were watching the game. And then he threw in some lobster eggs Benedict. You should have just saw him eating those lobster. Boy, who you got today? Jaguars. Oh, they're terrible too. You should got, what is the spread on that? 30 points? All righty. So stop by Parrot Key, which is right over the bridge there by the Key West Express. The staff is unbelievable. They've got a waitress over there that is like an all-star waitress. If they had a server, I guess you call them that. I can't call them waitresses. That's against the rules. So check him out at myparrotkey.com. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, he's here today in the flesh and blood, Jorge Barrera. You get a bigger round of applause than I do, Jorge. Jorge, come on over here. Why should I read the ad when he's here in the flesh and blood? Come on down. Before we let you go, Jorge Barrera, how come you don't ever wear any of my gear like your
usually
wife does?
Because from here I usually go to work and
you work
show
on
some properties
Sundays
and stuff. But today I don't have any appointments. So.
What properties are you showing lately? Where's the?
Well, today I don't have any showings, but I've been really busy for the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, we have a lot of different situations. There's certain residents who are after the 3 hurricanes, they decided to just go inland a little bit. So I've been, I got a new listing coming up this week.
Where?
Donora.
Yeah.
And
by the way, that's not how you say it. I didn't know this until yesterday, but it's called Don Ora.
Don Ora.
Yeah, because for Don and Ora Zimmer. Right.
Really?
The history of that
idea.
street is Don and Ora Zimmer, who donated the land for the fire department, and that's on Don Ora. From now on, when you guys say the word, you have to say Don Ora.
Don Ora.
Yeah, Don
Sounds
Ora.
good. Yeah. But it's just my heart goes to every resident, business owner that has had to deal with so much devastation. But my goal is to just continue helping as many owners, anyone who's looking to buy on the island or outside of the island.
Yeah, you help everybody, not just on Fort Myers Beach, but you can find them a place. I think you found Donia a place, right?
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. There's many people here that are my
How did
clients.
you deal with her? Because she's very high maintenance.
Oh, no, she was awesome to deal with. Her and Mike, absolutely. They met us. We met after the Hurricane Ian, and, we stayed in contact, and they ended up.
You do a lot of volunteer work at FMB Strong, and you're always down there helping people. I run into you every once in a while.
Every time I have a chance.
I don't go there to help. I just go to use the bathroom. It's very clean, and they have soft toilet paper.
Every time I have a chance, I go in the volunteer wherever I can. So
Heidi's great. Heidi's great.
Heidi's amazing. Yeah. FMB Strong has been doing an amazing job from the beginning. I was helping out, and I'm gonna continue doing my wife and I, as much as we can. So.
I don't know how you landed her, man. I mean, that's way above your pay grade there.
I truly, I know that.
You hit that one out of the park.
People look at her and look at me and they say,
me too. I don't know what it's just like.
Probably good personality, I guess.
I see. So how her personality or yours?
No, mine.
Oh, I see.
Mine.
How can people find you and get contact with you?
The best way to reach me is just through my phone, text message, or call me 239-791-9893, 239-791-9893.
Ladies and gentlemen, Jorge Barrera, thank you so much for everything. Appreciate you coming to the show, and especially for bringing your lovely wife. She's always smiling. All right, everybody, thank you for tuning in. We will see you at the pool because you're going to see the mayor and his elect Dan Allerstonger today if you're over at the pool at Margaritaville. And we're so happy that they're open. And we'll see you. We'll have the all the meetings broadcast next week. Town Council on Monday, the LPA on Tuesday, and we'll see you around town. Bye-bye.